Welcome to Get Savvy, the podcast for people who want to claim back their time through the power of delegation, productivity, and automation. Today, we are in our brand new podcast studio, as you can probably tell, and we thought it might be a good time for you to get to know us a little bit better, the people behind the Get Savvy podcast and behind Strictly Savvy.
So today we're actually going to chat all about Teesha. How are you feeling about that?
A bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm an open book, so yeah, I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, great. So the reason why I feel like we wanted to have a chat about Teesha's story is because I think it's actually a really inspiring one. Like, as a 26-year-old, you became the GM of a company that had, I don't know, what did we have back then? Like in 2020?
Yeah. Probably should have done some research first, but yeah, probably
we're like 20-something,
20-something team members, and then I probably shouldn't go into it yet, but yeah, we ended up growing to 30 team members. So yeah, it was quite big, especially.
Yeah, and so I think that I think someone that was your age, or even someone who's older, stepping into something big like owning your own business or managing a team or becoming a GM of a company, like it's a really big deal. And I feel like people look around and go, oh, well, I'm not smart enough to do that, or I don't have the confidence to do that, or whatever it is, whatever excuse or reason why they say that they're not good enough to do that. I feel like they look around and think like, oh, everyone else like has got their shit together and they know what they're doing, and like those people are the GMs and the business owners. But that's actually not true, because no one knows how to be a GM until you're actually doing it, and then you learn along the way. No one knows how to be a business owner until you're actually doing it and you learn along the way. Like everyone is winging it as they go through and starting something different.
Yeah. And the more conversations that you have with people, you realize everyone's in the same boat, because I love hearing stories like that as well about business owners that are just like, oh yeah, no, like I had to figure that out when it happened the first time. And it's like, of course you did.
Yeah.
You weren't programmed to just know how to run a business.
Exactly.
Like you have to learn,
and you can't just read a book and be like, oh, cool, now I can do it.
Just remember absolutely everything from that one book and you're good to go.
Yeah. No. Okay, so let's take it back to you actually starting with Strictly Savvy, because I remember the interview with you. I mean, this is crazy that I actually remember something like that. But I remember thinking, because we were hiring for a
junior. No.
We were trying to find someone that could be the senior, the creative director, like run that. And we're also hiring for the junior as well.
Yeah.
And the thing with you in the interview, I knew that you were really smart. I knew that you had the skills. But I was like, does she have the confidence to like deal with the clients and manage them? And that's why we chose you to be the junior, because we thought like, actually, I'm just and didn't give you the other role. Is because like we could see that you had the potential, but you needed to be in the role to get the confidence.
Yeah. And we are also talking 2017.
How old were you, Teesha?
Gosh, I'm just trying to do that maths in my head.
You were in your early 20s.
Yeah.
So it was like you must have been about 23, because you were 26 when you took over in 2020 as GM. So you'd have been 23.
Yeah. Yes, that maths works. Oh, I remember actually my first day working, which I had like obviously 4 weeks notice to give it my last role, but I was taking over from Anisha, who's currently our creative director, but she was going on maternity leave at the time. And so the only way I could get crossover was to come in and do one day before my full-time start date.
Yes.
And
that's right.
I already had leave booked for my birthday. So I was like, oh, I've got this day off. I'll just come in and do that day with you guys. And I just didn't say anything that it was my birthday. So it would have been 22 when you interviewed me. Fun fact.
And you gave us your birthday day off.
And I tried to keep it a secret, but then Anisha found out, and then you guys bought me a cake, so that was really cute.
Oh, well, I'm glad that we did something thoughtful. Probably not my idea. Cool. Okay. So we start you in that role, and then what happens? What's the next stage?
Well, I guess I just got to know the role a little bit more, obviously, as you do when you start a new role. And so it was just me and two other people at the time, except the person that you had hired for the senior role was taking over the senior role. So there were two people momentarily, and then it switched to just me and him in the creative team. And so it was a fairly small creative team at that time. Just
it was something that we're just getting started, really.
Yeah, like properly starting to push it as a service, I suppose.
With qualified graphic designers who had studied.
Yeah. So I was doing a little bit of everything, to be fair, when I started. It was mainly design stuff, and because I had studied graphic design and I also did photography. So when I first started, I was doing design, but because we weren't super busy, I was doing a little bit of everything. Like I did some transcribing for some clients when I first started because I had a good typing speed. And then I did some random virtual assistants as well, just here and there. Like if there were clients that needed design and virtual assistants and it made sense to sit them with me, then I did those. And then in the building that we were in at the time, I don't know what made you guys make the decision to get that one down the hall that we ended up turning into the studio.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes. We realized that we had your photography skills as well that we could use for clients. So we found another space in our building that we could set up as a studio.
Really convenient. Just literally same building, just down the hallway. So you and Lance worked hard, obviously, to turn it into a space that we could use as a studio. And then that was kind of the first thing, I think, at Savvy that I really owned. Like kitting it out, making sure that we had all the equipment that we needed to run a studio, and then, managing bookings for photo shoots and starting to get clients in the door for photos. And that was, I guess, where I started to probably step up a bit more running things.
I think that's where you really showed us that like you really cared about the quality of work that we were doing. You were super reliable. You were great with the clients. You're not like dropping the balls or, just having people not communicated with. So we could see that like in terms of your like organizational skills were amazing, but you also had this really creative side and like together, and we'll go into this a bit later, like we kind of know why that you're very multi-talented like that, and we'll explain how Teesha has developed that skill to be multi-talented. But we really started to see that like actually we could rely on you to like really run something, own it, and do a great job. So that's when you moved from there. You moved into running the creative team, didn't you?
Yeah, well, the creative team leader at the time ended up moving overseas. And then, to be fair, I think Anisha was back at this point, and so there were maybe 3 of us in the creative team. And then the creative team leader moved overseas, and then I can't remember, I think I put my hand up for it, and then transitioned into that role, and then started actually managing the leads. So I started managing the photography leads to a point, and then took over the creative team leader and actually started managing the leads and the sales for the creative team as well.
I mean that's a real skill to be able to sell, which you absolutely excelled at. And then COVID hit. We moved out of our office, we all went home, and I remember you being, so Teesha and I are friends outside of work, and we had you and Petros over, and you'd said something. I'm probably going to get this, like this is my recollection of it, that you or Petros, I can't remember who said something, but you were like, I know that you have a desire to like be able to step out of the business and have it run on its own. Like I've talked about that before. That's why we were systemizing everything, like really trying to like remove me from any part of the process, because I started to, like drop the ball and not be able to follow through on the process.
At this time, it was like me as the creative team leader. We had a VA team leader who ended up leaving, and then we kind of had like the business development manager, and that was like the leadership team at that time. And then you were running everything.
Yeah. So we started to remove me out of those things. And when you had said that and you were like, actually, I'd be really interested in putting my hand up to like take over.
Yeah, it was kind of not a throwaway comment. Not a throwaway comment at all, but I kind of just half said it expecting you guys to be like, that's nice.
That's nice, but no.
Sorry, you're just a creative person. You can stay over there.
I would never say that you're just a creative person. Yeah, so that really was like, oh, wow. You know what I loved about that? You had the balls to actually say something and be like, I could do this. You had noticed what I was wanting to do and you were like, here's a solution to get you what you want. Like that is the best thing to how to sell something to anyone is like, hey, you want this? This is
what I can
this is the solution that I can give you. Like,
and at that time, I remember specifically saying, because I had seen as well, like we've got an org chart for Savvy, obviously, and I had seen the org chart and there'd be this little placeholder for like an ops manager. And so I remember at the time saying I'd like to put my hand up for the ops manager role specifically. And then you guys, because it was like a random evening, I think that I mentioned it in passing basically, and then you and Lance were both like, let's talk about this on Monday, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I remember walking in to have a meeting with you guys, and then I think one of the first things that you said to me, you or Lance, was like, we'd like you to consider the general manager role instead. And I was like, okay, that is not what I was expecting to walk into today.
Yeah, because we could definitely see the potential there. And we knew that you wouldn't be able to take over everything all at once and that there would be like learning and like shadowing and, you know, like it would be a progressive thing.
Yeah.
So I hope we did a good job of that and didn't just like throw you into it.
I was staggered it.
And there's still some things that Lance will look after. So my husband, Lance, in terms of like the CFO kind of role.
Yeah.
But basically in terms of overseeing, running, making sure stuff happens, making sure the culture's great, the team's sorted, like stuff is happening and being delivered.
Yeah.
That's the kind of role that I see you doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so 26-year-old Teesha gets given the job title general manager. What are those first few weeks like for you? Like really share with our listeners, like what is going through your mind and what are the vulnerable things that, you know, the self-doubt and stuff that we know you had?
I think obviously there was excitement in there because like I'd put my hand up for a reason and I wanted it. But I was also half expecting it to not happen. And so
why?
Just classic imposter syndrome, I think. Just why would it be me? Why am I good enough? Like, am I good enough? And then I think also just that kind of panic of like, oh shit, now I've got it. This is going to be intense. What do I do? There are so many things that I don't know. And it's like that whole roller coaster that you go on when you start a new job where you're like, oh yeah, like I'm awesome. And then you realize how much you don't know. And then your confidence goes back down and then you start learning more. And then it's like, literally just a roller coaster.
Yes, that is an actual concept that happens when you're like, yes, I know so much. And then you realize, oh shit, I actually don't know anything. Yeah. And I think here is the valley of despair.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in there quite a few times, I think. Yeah. It was good because we did stagger it and we had, I think one of the first sessions that we did when we started handing over, we made lists of like, okay, the first tranche is going to be these tasks, the second tranche is going to be this, and I slowly took on more and more. But yeah, I think as well, just it's your baby, and there was so much that we had systems and processes for, but so much that obviously you knew how you wanted things to be done that was in your head as well. And so I was like, I need to make sure that I like do it justice, really. So
because I mean, you could have all the systems and processes in place, but like the actual strategic stuff, I feel like was your struggle. Like, how do I think strategically about things? Because I think like as a team member or like a VA or creative, you kind of just like, okay, this is I get the leads in, I get them to sign up, and then I deliver the project. But when you're general manager, it's like this different level. You're not delivering tasks so much. Yes, there's things that you're doing, but I think like the thing that I feel like you struggled with the most was, how do I feel like I'm being productive and I'm working when I don't have client work or tasks to do?
Yeah, because as the creative team leader, I already had a reduced expectation in terms of my productivity because I was managing team members and managing leads and sales and stuff. And so I remember saying to you guys, because you said that I was going to have to come off client work altogether, and I made a comment about like, oh, I don't understand how I'd be so busy that I can't do any client work. Like, that seems so stupid.
Like, but what would I do? If I'm not doing client work, what would I do?
You just laughed at me.
Yeah. Because it is really different going from like a productive team member, like producing work team member, to any type of manager or leader.
Yeah.
The type of work that you're doing is so different, because like some days you'll be like, I literally did nothing today.
Yeah. I still think that now sometimes.
And I'm like, Teesha, you oversaw and you managed and you had conversations and you put out fires and you gave people answers that they need.
Yeah. It's such a mindset shift. Because, you're so used to having a successful day when you've ticked off things on your to-do list. But as a manager of people as well, like, you just can't plan your day. Like, you can have blocks of your day that you're going to focus on things, but you have no idea what's going to pop up that day, what problems you need to help someone with. And so you can get to the end of your day after thinking at the start of the day, oh, I'm going to work on this, and then not actually work on those things sometimes. And so you get to the end of the day and you're like, cool, I didn't actually tick anything off my task list. And then if you ask me at the end of a day, like, what did you do today? Sometimes I would just be like, I actually can't even tell you. Like, it was such a whirlwind.
Yeah, I think we get so focused on a task list and ticking things off that it's so difficult to then be like, I'm just here for whatever comes up and whatever it is we're required in that day.
Yeah.
That's very, very different.
Yeah. And I think as well, understanding my personality more, which is like a journey that I have gone through since starting at Savvy, because we did like disc profiling at the start, and then now sort of knowing that I'm in this stage where I like being productive. And so like, what is being productive, and figuring that out in this new role at the time was just honestly a mind fuck.
But I don't think people talk about it. No. I don't think I've read a book or read a blog post or anyone talk about how different it is when you go from a billable producing team member, which is your entire focus is tracking your time to bill clients, to not billing any work at all. And I feel like this is like, let's say a tradie, one of our classic kind of team clients and client types, is that I think they go through this as well when they are so focused on being on the tools and doing the work, and then they grow a big team and they are still trying to be on the tools and they just don't have the time, and nor should they spend their time on that, because they would be able to produce a lot more revenue and profitability if they focused on overseeing and running things rather than actually doing the technical work. And I think that is a really big mindset shift for anyone scaling a business with a team, is that you can no longer do the delivery of the work when you have a team.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're empowering a team to be able to do. So you've got to be prepared for that too, because people go and train to be something because they like doing that work. Or if you're going to grow a business with team members, unless you've got a GM who's running it for you, which you need to be able to afford, etc. Changing your mindset to be like, I'm not going to do the productive, billable work is really big.
Yeah. And I think as well, I had a few people react in a surprised way when I'd said I was moving into that role, and that also gives you this question mark of like, oh shit, have I made the wrong decision? And I also had people sort of say, well, you like doing creative work, so why would you do that? Because you're not going to get to be creative anymore.
And we did talk about that too, right? Because how do you have a creative outlet and do something fun and something that you really enjoy?
Yeah.
To make sure that you are enjoying your work. Like, how do you do that now?
I think this was when I also started realizing that I do quite like, weirdly, so many people tell me that this is weird, but I like understanding people. And I was starting to get more into that in general when I put my hand up for the role.
The psychology of people, right? Because you're dealing with so many personalities in a team.
Yeah. So that was kind of, in a weird way, like a creative problem-solving thing for me. And I also realized that I would still get to be involved in some of the creative aspects of the business. Like, I would still get to do photo shoots, and especially at that time, I was the only photographer. So I would still be doing the photo shoots. I would still be involved in the marketing. At that point, we didn't have a marketing manager, so I was doing a lot of that stuff as well. And so I would have these like little bursts of creative outlets. And I think now, because things are so busy, like in talking today type thing, I have to make sure that when I feel like I'm missing that, I just have to either put my hand up and do something within Savvy, whether that's like, we need a new page on the website, or can I just like have a little play around and like do it myself to a point, or just make sure that I get it outside of work, like make sure that I'm doing my hobbies that I enjoy, and that kind of fills that cup for me as well.
Yeah, that's really important. Okay, let's move into this. So we're talking about the psychology of team members, because this is like a big part of you and what you're doing now, which we haven't talked about too much yet.
Not yet.
So Teesha identified that she really loved the psychology of people and the team members. And we had this opportunity, Teesha mentioned that we did DISC profiles, personality profiles for the team members previously, and we talked DISC a lot. And then we discovered a new kind of model. Model. I'm going to let you explain what this is, Teesha, because I'm absolutely going to butcher it.
Well, I guess this is actually going back before COVID lockdown. This was like when I was still in the creative team leader role. Lance met them through his business coaching. And so it's called PCM, which stands for Process Communication Model, which is a psychometric tool. So I don't know how to explain it in short either. It's like personality profiling, but it's so much more than that. It talks about personality styles, but we also talk about communication styles. We talk about distress and distress behaviors and how to support people when they're in distress, psychological needs, and a whole bunch more. But it's just so in depth, and it talks about how everyone has everything in them, and it's how much energy you have in each of those layers or levels, rather than you being this one thing over here. And so we started with doing it with just the leadership team at the time, and then we did our profiles and basically what's called a debrief. So we just sort of get talked through the basics of the profiles. And then we went through the process of doing the seminars that we could do. So you and I did the first seminars. Yeah. And then Lance and I did the second 3-day seminar. I can't remember when that was. It was a few years ago now. And so we sort of I maxed out all of the learning with PCM that I could do as a participant. And then, you guys obviously saw how interested in it that I was. And so we looked into the possibility of getting me qualified as a trainer in PCM. And so I've now gone through that certification process as well.
I love how you just skipped over that. I just did this thing. Teesha actually went to Australia and you did so much study over months.
Yeah.
And you had to do an exam and go through this whole process to get certified as a PCM trainer. So let's not skip over how much that work that was.
Yeah.
And so now, and we're going to do a whole separate episode that goes deep on what PCM is and how it might be able to help you in your business. But we now have Teesha with the ability to offer this to other businesses and go in, do the profiles for them, do the seminar. And you've recently just come back from doing one with a client.
First, because we have done this with our entire team. So we did the profiles for all of the team and we've done some in-person sessions for all of our team. And that was, I guess, the main goal originally with it, because we could then do it
we
in-house.
Knew what the end goal was, but we didn't want to scare you off.
That's what we talked about, the first main goal being. And then, obviously there have been some other opportunities with your other business to do some seminars for some other people as well. And then, very recently, just last month, I think it was, I did my first full day in-person session with another business. So, yeah.
And Teesha got some amazing feedback from that.
Yeah. It ended up being, I was very nervous about it because
That's an understatement. Yeah. Teesha freaked out a lot leading up to that.
I just have massively high expectations of myself, which I know are unrealistic and I wouldn't put them on anyone else. But that's also part of my personality style, in a bit of distress probably, that I expect myself to be perfect, which is crazy. But so I just really drilled myself this has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, then it's not good enough.
Oh, Teesha, that is really
crazy
high expectations. No, because we understand PCM profiles now, so we know where that comes from.
Yeah. So I was very nervous, and I think just anytime, I'm one of those people that I will push myself out of my comfort zone. I'll just show up and do it because I have to do it, and I won't bail, but I will shit myself right up until that point, until I have to be there.
I've got another example outside of work of where you did that. Remember going to the Philippines together with our husbands, and we kind of tricked Teesha into canyoneering.
Massively tricked me.
We said, look, we'll just go down there, and if you don't want to do it, you'll just be able to come back up here and do it.
For context, I'm scared of heights. I don't really like swimming. I'm scared of a lot of outdoor activities.
So we'll go canyoneering.
So I was going to wait at home and just let them go and do this. And they were like, oh, yeah, it's just going to be walking through waist-high water.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be fine. So we get down there and then realize that there's no backing out of this. Teesha is actually have to do this. So we had some guides with us.
Yeah.
And we went down through. Teesha freaked out the entire time, I'm sure. And then we get to this part where you have to jump off a massive waterfall.
Well, the ones that you're forced to jump.
Yeah.
At the start.
Well, there's multiple waterfalls.
Yeah. There are ones that you can avoid, and then there are ones that you have to do. And the first one that we got to that I had to do, I ended up freaking myself out so much that I ended up having a little bit of a cry just to expose myself. And yeah, but like I just had to do it, but I really didn't want to. Just had to suck it up and deal with it. And so I jumped in. Like, this was probably what, a 1-2 meter jump at that point.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Anyway, sorry, continue.
And then we continue on down. And then there's this really massive jump.
The highest one.
And I think there was actually an out. You could go down some steps and get out of this. And so, like, we all jumped. Teesha's up there. We're like, I'll assume that Teesha's just going to go down the steps and stuff. Like, there's no way that she is going to do this.
Yeah. I was bailing every single one that I could.
Jump. So I hear this massive, like, splash and scream behind me, and I turn around and I'm like, holy shit, Teesha just jumped off that massive thing, and even though she didn't have to.
10
meters?
Was it 10 or more? Like 10 or 12, something like that. I think it might have been 10.
It was very, very high.
Yeah, it was the tallest one that day that we could have done. And I was just watching everyone else jump, and I was kind of like, am I going to regret this if I don't do it? And like, I can just do it and I will be actually fine. And I watched you guys do it, and like, I again, like, ran through this process in my head of like, okay, so worst case scenario, what's going to happen? I'm going to drown. I'm not going to drown. What do I need to be able to do? And so I watched you guys, and I watched how long you were under the water when you hit the water. And I was like, okay, that's like 4 seconds. I can hold my breath for 4 seconds. And so I just had to get past the fear of heights, which that's one of my biggest fears, is heights. But yeah, I just, after everyone else had gone, I was like, okay, no one's going to stand around waiting for me while I decide whether I am or aren't going to do this. So as soon as the last person's gone, I'm just going to have to literally go then and there without thinking about it. Otherwise I'm going to bail. And so I just did it and didn't let myself think.
And do you use that like in your life now? Like, is that how you get through things?
Pretty much. Yeah. I'll kind of like commit to things that I know are a push outside of my comfort zone, and then I'm kind of forcing myself in a way to do it because I know, like, I guess my subconscious knows that I can do it, and so I'm committing to it because I know that I can do it, even if I don't really want to, or I don't think that I want to. And then, yeah, I am not going to embarrass myself by not doing it or not turning up or not going to that thing. So then I just do it.
Yeah, because I think, like, people looking from the outside, oh, GM is Strictly Savvy. She must be so confident. She must have her shit together and, like, amazing. But, like, I know you personally, Teesha, and, like, that is not the case.
No, I worry about everything.
You are a warrior. You do get really nervous about things.
Yeah.
You do try and, like, or you have to pep talk and talk yourself into, like, doing things. So I think, like, if someone listening is thinking that they like want to go for a job or they want to start a business or whatever it is, like, know that people are doing it scared.
Yeah.
And they don't have all of their shit together. Like, even I don't have all of my shit together.
Yeah.
You know, like, no one is perfectly equipped to do something.
No.
Everyone is doing things scared. Everyone is, like, needing to push them outside their comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. There are literally some days where I just, like, it feels so anxious that I feel sick, and then I'll just go and do the thing that I need to do and then have a little celebration afterwards that I got through it. But yeah, massive imposter syndrome, like, in the beginning and now. And it's even weird things, well, not weird actually, things that seem really silly that I'll feel like guilty about as well. Like, if we're talking about billable work again, or not billable work, I have this, like, guilt to the rest of the team that they think that I'm doing nothing because there are so many, like, they're spending their entire day doing billable work. One, I struggled with at the very beginning as well was that I don't know anything about bookkeeping. And so I was like, how can I run this business day to day if I don't understand bookkeeping? And then there's like guilt associated with that, and then guilt that I don't look like I'm being productive all day, every day, and that I'm not like tracking every minute of my time. And so I'm like, what do the team think that I'm doing? Like, do they just think that I'm rocking around, just especially while we're working from home? Like, do they just think that I'm sitting there like la 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 la, doing absolutely nothing? And especially now that we're in the office as well, it's like I need to pop out and grab things for the office and do these errands. And I'm like, it just feels like I'm not being productive. And I still feel that to this day.
Not doing something like worthwhile. But it actually is, all of it is required. And like the wheels would fall off Strictly Savvy if you weren't there doing your role.
Yeah. Yeah. More supporting and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. We have talked about a lot.
Yes.
Teesha, what would you now say to someone who maybe is, going for that job, starting the business, like desiring something, or like really dreaming of something, but just holding themselves back through fear, anxiety, like lack of confidence, self-belief?
I think there's probably a few things. Probably feel the fear and do it anyway. That's like my biggest motto. Like, you're allowed to feel that, and don't like suppress, or not, don't suppress that feeling, but like don't ignore that. The nerves are good as well, and it means that you care about whatever it is you're doing. So those nerves are good. Make sure that there's some good people around you as well, and that you can talk to, like, filters off. I think that's really helped. Like with you and Lance, I can talk to you guys about the imposter syndrome, and I had this idea, and you guys know this very well. I had this idea of what a general manager should be, and I was putting all of that on myself, and then it's only sort of through conversations with you guys that I've realized that that's only an expectation that I have had on myself, and that it's not something that you guys have been expecting of me as well. And so being able to have those unfiltered conversations with you guys really helps. And if it's, you as a business owner, if you don't have, like, if you aren't a general manager and don't have business owners that you can talk to, then like networking groups, talk to other business owners or get a business coach, and have some kind of outlet where, because obviously you can't filter that kind of stuff down to the team. Yeah. So you do need to let it out, because otherwise you will, like, if I didn't let these conversations, these thoughts out, then I would probably just spiral.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because you've been doing some like coaching kind of in a personal capacity too, haven't you? To help you through.
Yeah. A lot to do with this whole idea of what I think a general manager should be. And through like knowing my personality as well, I have this mixture, like how I talked about everyone has everything in them. It's not just you are this one thing. And so I have this mixture of pretty much all of the different personality styles, which sounds crazy without showing you. We're going to
put Teesha's stack in the PCM right here so that you can see how much energy she has, or the ability to go into so many different personality styles. And we'll talk about this in the future episode when we talk about PCM, but like you'll see that she has phased through all of these different personality styles in her life, which actually has made her very adaptable. And you have an amazing ability to be able to communicate or connect with all the different types of personality styles and all different types of people. And I don't think you even realize like how incredible that is, because it's just so normal to you and natural to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're interested in understanding what the stack of PCM, Teesha's PCM profile means, then we'll definitely go deep in that. So keep an eye out for our PCM session.
Yeah. But I've kind of had waves of it where I feel like it's a blessing and a curse. Like it's really great because I can connect with pretty much what feels like anyone. Some days anyway, you know, so it's very easy for me to talk to different people. But then I also have this weird sort of background noise that's like, who are you? And so, yeah, I was having not an identity crisis, but I have this like, what is a good general manager? And then who even am I and where do I fit in and where do I bring those aspects of my authentic personality and like what's okay to bring through into this general manager role. So I'm like, I am a serious person, but I'm also a fun person and I need fun and I enjoy fun and I like being creative. And so it's like making sure that I have that balance, like I talked about day to day, and actually let that come through in my personality and not restrict my personality either, because I think it's obviously important for the team as well, like that I'm not just a complete robot and I'm not muting these parts of myself either.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a bit of personal sort of self-discovery as well as how does that fit in at Savvy, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that coaching was amazing that you did with your personal coach.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's a really great advice that like you need to understand your personality is like amazing, because then you can talk to your coach about that. But having a coach, having someone that you can actually get support and help with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't just be in isolation and in your head, right?
No, definitely not. And understanding personality definitely helps, because I can also reference that and see what's going on and catch myself when like, oh, okay, am I just in this mode? Yep, I am. All right. And so I know what to do when I'm in that mode as well.
Yeah. So yeah, really looking forward to going deep in PCM on another episode, because it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like it's the thing that I have learned that has made the biggest difference in my entire life and business. Like there's nothing else that I have learned that is more important than like understanding that.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree, but I
You
feel like I
feel
have
biased?
a bias because I just love it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's leave it there, Teesha. Thank you for being open and honest, especially about the Philippines and having a little cry there.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all had a cry in the Philippines at some point. You are a very special person to me. I absolutely love having you as the general manager, and I just know that you look after Strictly Savvy for me so well. So thank you very much. And it's a long time that you have worked at Strictly Savvy, especially for someone your age.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful for your loyalty. And yeah, hopefully we can keep you around for a little longer.
Thanks for having me. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, I would love to hear from you, especially about what you thought of today's episode.